Back in 1990, there was a kind of short-lived TV series called Twin Peaks. It lasted 2 seasons before it got canceled. And I actually hadn't heard of it until the beginning of my freshman year in college when I first moved into the dorm, and there were a bunch of people on my floor who had been big fans of Twin Peaks, and they were desperately looking for a TV to watch it on. And since I just happened to be one of the few people on my floor who had a TV in my room, I decided to let them use mine. Maybe I was trying to score some points with the girls on my floor or something. But anyway, I was kind of curious to see what all the hype was about, so I ended up watching it with them, or at least I tried to, and I think I ended up walking out of my own room less than halfway through the episode, because I just didn't understand anything that was going on. The show just seemed really weird and didn't make any sense, so yeah. I kind of forgot about it for years after that, and then after I became a Lost fan, some other Lost fans started recommending Twin Peaks to me for whatever reason. So I decided to just recently check it out on Netflix, and I ended up quitting after 3 episodes. Because, again, even just watching from the beginning, the show was just too weird, confusing. Couldn't understand the point of any of it, couldn't relate to any of the characters, so yeah, I just gave up. Now, I don't want to actually talk about the content of the actual show Twin Peaks, because I'm not going to assume that most of you have even seen it. But what I would like to talk about can hopefully be applied to any other TV shows that don't appeal to me, or more specifically, those shows' fans' reactions to my reaction. The first thing I noticed is that most of the people saying they love the show were some sort of extroverted intuition users. There were a couple of INFPs, an ENFP, and INTP, plus a couple of NI-dominants. I think there was an INTJ and INFJ. And NI-dominants are kind of known for appreciating extroverted intuition style humor. I think that might have something to do with it, just the types of people who are drawn to that sort of weirdness that I saw on Twin Peaks, which the INFJ actually pointed out is very NE heavy. And according to socionics theory, me as an ISTP, I have extroverted intuition as my blind spot or point of least resistance function, which makes me sort of resistant to anything that's based on a lot of extroverted intuition. Now, the weird thing about all those Twin Peaks fans was that they just could not understand why I couldn't get into the show. And see, that's the part that kind of struck me as odd, because, you know, the shows that I like, you know, like Lost, Fringe, Once Upon a Time, Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead, X-Files, all the Star Trek shows, you know, as much as I like those shows, I know there are plenty of people who don't like those types of shows, and, you know, I don't question them. I just kind of accept it as like, okay, this show is not for them. It's just like personality types. You know, some people have preferences for some functions over others, and it has nothing to do with intelligence or narrow-mindedness or whatever. So these people, after I told them that Twin Peaks was just too weird for me and I couldn't get into it, they were saying to me, well, keep watching it. And like, why would I keep watching a show that I don't like? You know, it'd be one thing if they were saying, well, okay, it'll be slow in the beginning, kind of confusing, but if you keep watching it, it'll get better. Well, none of them were saying that. That was the case with shows like Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead, Fringe. I thought those shows were kind of slow in the first season, but people kept assuring me that those shows would get better, and I listened to them and I trusted their judgment, and I'm glad I did. Even Lost had its low moments. You know, when people tell me that they gave up on Lost at the beginning of the 3rd season, I'm like, well, you gave up when the show was at its lowest point. If you keep watching it, it'll get better. So when those Twin Peaks fans told me to keep watching the show, I asked them, so how many episodes until the show gets good? And they couldn't answer that because they couldn't understand why I was having so much trouble with it in the first place. So basically, if I'm not getting into a TV show and you can't assure me that it's going to get better, well, we obviously have different tastes in TV shows, and there's a good chance that I'm not going to like it if I keep going, and then it'll just be a waste of several hours of my time. And then they tried to point out some of the things that they thought were great about the show. It's like they were somehow hoping that maybe it was just taking me a while to figure it out, and that if I were to keep watching it, eventually something would click in my head and I would just suddenly get it. One of them was saying, well, it's weird. You gotta appreciate it for its weirdness. And I'm like, okay, well, I know it's weird. That's why I don't like it. Another was saying, it's funny. You gotta appreciate it for the humor. And okay, well, I didn't find it funny, so there's still no point in me watching it. So I guess to make this type related again, one thing about extroverted intuition is that they're sometimes drawn to questions just for the sake of questions. And so that's why they tend to be drawn to these mysteries. It's like, if there's a mystery, then it automatically becomes something interesting. Okay, so what happened was those people were just kind of assuming that because I'm into other mystery-based TV shows like Lost, Fringe, Once Upon a Time, that I would automatically get into a show like Twin Peaks. Now, the difference is, when I watch a show like that, I need at least a few characters that I can easily follow. You know, in other words, characters that I don't have to constantly wonder what their motives are. Now, Lost, Fringe, Once Upon a Time, or all those other TV shows I like had that. Twin Peaks doesn't. The closest that I saw to such a character in the first few episodes was the FBI agent. And even he just got really weird and unrelatable. I was sort of hoping it'd be more like the X-Files. You know, with that you got the two lead characters, FBI agents Mulder and Scully, and those characters themselves are not mysterious. You know, they're solving mysteries. You know, the show is mysterious, but the characters are not. We already know what their motivations are. Agent Mulder is into all these paranormal phenomena. He wants to believe. Agent Scully is a skeptic. She's there to maintain the objectivity in the investigations and to keep Mulder grounded in reality. But yeah, the point is, it's easy to follow what those two characters are doing and how they're going about investigating all these weird mysteries because we know what their motivations are. And that's kind of what I was hoping to see on Twin Peaks with the FBI agent. But yeah, he just got really weird and had all these crazy ideas about how to go about investigating this murder mystery, and I just lost all interest in that. So hopefully that gives you some idea of what makes a mystery TV show appealing to me. It just has to have some sort of framework in the narrative that I can follow and a reason for me to want to follow it. Anyway, whatever. What the heck is that?